Over the course of the semester, as we've been learning about different kinds of libraries, I've been thinking that I'd most like to work in a public library. Because of this, I chose to focus on public libraries for my visits project. I visited 3 public libraries, an academic library, and a university research library. In my research and my visits, I've gained a greater certainty about where I'd most like to work one day. The first place that I went to was Minneapolis Central Library. As the largest library in Hennepin County's library system, Central functions as a sort of hub for that system. It is located in the heart of downtown Minneapolis and is a great example of green architecture, from its energy-efficient underfloor heating and cooling to its green roof, which has actual vegetation, believe it or not. Since it is so important in Hennepin County's system, Central serves many people every year. In fact, over 6 million patrons were served at Minneapolis Central in 2012. The collection is appropriately large, approximately 2.4 million items, spread out over 4 floors. The facility has entrances on Nicollet Mall and Hennepin Avenue. On the ground floor, there is a large lobby, off of which are the entrance to the underground parking ramp, a coffee shop, a bookstore, a large backroom staff area, and of course the entrance to the library itself. On floor 1 of Minneapolis Central, there is a welcome desk, reference desk, circulation desk, and over 100 internet terminals, which are pretty much always in use. Floor 1 houses the general fiction, world languages, and children's sections. In the children's section, there is the children's collection, of course. There's a play area, computers for the kids, and off to the side, there is a special collection devoted to folklore. Floor 1 also features a fireside reading area, and by the windows, many tables for quiet study. Floor 2 of Minneapolis Central is home to the science, business, and health collections, as well as archives of government documents. There are many internet terminals, a small business center with computers for job searches, and an area devoted to patents and trademarks. In addition to the reference desk and study and meeting rooms, across the way on floor 2 there is an area called Teen Central, where teenage patrons can browse the teen collection, socialize, and surf the web. Located off to the side is a small art gallery and a large auditorium. Up the elevator, or up the stairs, floor 3 houses the literature and fine arts collections, as well as over 300 titles of periodicals. There are many more internet computers on floor 3, 3 group study rooms, and a piano room, which can be reserved for use. In addition, the 3rd floor of Minneapolis Central has a fireplace with a nice reading area by it, a reference desk, and off to the side, there is a large area of administrative offices. In addition to its more traditional services, Minneapolis Central Library also offers many special services. In line with the mission of public libraries, Central offers many opportunities for help with education. For example, ESL tutoring, classes on technology, homework help, and instruction on the use of business software. All in all, I was overawed by the scope and sheer size of Central Library's facilities and collection. It was a little intimidating. I'm not sure if I'd want to work there, but I did leave feeling pretty impressed. The next facility that I visited was Metropolitan State University Library. Located near downtown St. Paul, Metro State Library shares a building with a branch of the St. Paul Public Library. Its primary clientele is Metro State students, but any St. Paul Public Library cardholder is eligible for service. As an academic library, its mission is to fulfill the information needs of students and foster intellectual growth. At Metropolitan State University Library, there is a collection of approximately 90,000 items, and about 30,000 were circulated last year. The library's focus, though, isn't really on materials, but on education. In addition to traditional library services, Metro State Library offers information literacy classes, tutoring and testing in the Center for Academic Excellence, and computer and software help. And that's just on the ground floor. On floor 2 of Metro State Library is found the bulk of the collection, focusing on social sciences, fiction, psychology, and DVDs. As it is a pretty quiet level, floor 2 is a good place to read or study in one of the many study areas. Floor 3 actually has no volumes or materials of any kind. Instead, floor 3 is centered more on meetings and classes. As such, there is a meeting room for the university's Board of Trustees, there is the Ecolab Community Room, which is a state-of-the-art multimedia presentation space. Also, floor 3 is home to 5 classrooms. Overall, I was very impressed by the kindness of the staff at Metropolitan State University Library. I'm glad that I went there. It brought home what we have read again and again this semester. Namely, it was a good example of a library that's much more than a place where there are books. After Metro State, the next place I went was McGraw Library on the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota. As a large university research library, McGraw has as its mission to provide information and services to U of M students, faculty, and staff, and to support research. It is open to the public on a limited basis. At McGraw, there is a large collection, as could be expected. Spread out over 2 floors are 400,000 volumes focusing on biological sciences and agriculture. There is also a history section, a literature section, and a special collection of cookbooks. In addition, the library provides storage for a large archive of government documents. Students, faculty, and staff can access expansive scholarly databases, whether at the library or on one of the library's database computers, or from a remote location via the website. There are internet workstations at McGraw on the ground floor and also in a lab located in the basement. Also in the basement are several classrooms. As a university research library, McGraw has special services that center on research support. There are copyright support workshops, classes on the use of the library's databases, and staff can help aspiring scholars get published. Also, McGraw's website offers tutorials on techniques used in research. Something I found very interesting was the Smart Learning Commons, an area for group study and socialization. At the Learning Commons, tutoring is available. There are study sessions guided by students. Students can get help with writing research papers, and library staff give consultations and recommendations on possible research techniques. I weighed the pros and cons and found that I really did like the Smart Learning Commons, but I found the atmosphere at McGraw Library rather cold. There was hardly anyone there, and based on my one visit at least, I don't think I'd like to work there, though I could see studying there. After McGraw, the next library I went to was Linden Hills Public Library. It is a stately building in an affluent neighborhood of Minneapolis, and according to its website, it's often described as the ideal image of a library. At Linden Hills, the typical patron is a little higher up on the socioeconomic ladder. Despite the fact that its collection is only 27,000 volumes, Linden Hills circulated 236,000 in 2012. That may not be very remarkable by public library standards, but I found it impressive. At Linden Hills, there is a large children's area on the ground floor and 25 internet workstations. Also, there are many areas for quiet reading, by the fireplace, for example, and there is a meeting room that can be reserved. Visitors can access numerous scholarly databases, both in the building and on the library's website. It could be said that the interior of Linden Hills Library matches the exterior. That is to say, it looks as if it were built yesterday, just in an older style. This could be because it was recently renovated. Because of its location and its typical patrons, Linden Hills Library doesn't offer much in the way of special services, apart from a book club and story time for the kids. Because of this, I left Linden Hills a little unimpressed and decided that I probably wouldn't want to work there. I could see stopping in there to read if I were in the area and had some free time, though. The last library that I went to was Franklin Library, which is located in the Phillips neighborhood of Minneapolis. The Phillips neighborhood has been a home for immigrants since Franklin Library was built in 1914. As a side note, the construction of Franklin Library was financed by the Carnegie Endowment. As it is a public library, Franklin is open to all. Its typical patrons tend to be immigrants and people who are lower on the socioeconomic ladder. Since it is a public library, Franklin has a collection whose focus is very general. All the materials are located on floor 2. Centrally located is the large children's section where there is a pavilion, a play area, and off to the side, a room where parents can read storybooks to their kids. Floor 2 has 44 internet computers in a central bank And across the way, there is a computer designated for family use, so parents can keep an eye on their kids. Also, there is a reference desk on floor 2, and there is a circulation desk. The atmosphere at Franklin Library is very lively and busy. There are lots of patrons, and a lot of materials were circulated in 2012, over 150,000. The focus of Franklin Library's mission, though, is based not on materials, but rather on services. Franklin Library offers many special services to meet the needs of its patrons. For the children, there is homework help available, there is story time, there are puppet shows, and occasionally there are music performances. Most of that takes place on the second floor. On the first floor, there is a busy teen area where there are computers, board games, and a social area. In the teen area, technology classes are offered, some taught by teens, and there are also anime and technology clubs. On the other end of the first floor is the Franklin Learning Center, where so much of the library's mission is put into practice. In the Learning Center, staff and volunteers teach and tutor library patrons in English as a second language, and citizenship exam training classes are given. In addition, there is a technology center with many computers where staff help patrons with job searches. The Franklin Learning Center is open 5 days a week for a total of 35 hours. Of all the libraries that I researched and visited for this project, Franklin is the one that appealed to me the most. Despite the fact that there was nowhere to sit when I visited, Franklin Library was my favorite because of the extensive outreach services and its educational offerings. Also, the staff were very helpful, as I've said, especially in the Franklin Learning Center. In fact, the staff there were so nice, and I was so pleasantly surprised by all that the Learning Center had to offer, that I actually started to volunteer there 2 weeks ago. I probably never would have found out about this place if I hadn't done this project. As I wrote in my introduction, doing this project has helped me to figure out what kind of library work interests me the most.